In the heart of American automotive history, where V8 engines once roared on endless highways, a disruptor emerged. Elon Musk, with his electrifying vision, gave birth to a fleet of automated wonders. Some argue that this electrified evolution, led by Tesla, threatens the very essence of the American dream, casting shadows on a once thriving industry and the jobs it sustained. But is this truly the downfall of an era, or could it be the dawn of a new one? In a world where electric vehicles, EVs, are gaining traction like never before, we delve into the truth about electric vehicle manufacturing. Is Tesla the harbinger of doom for traditional American jobs, or might it hold the key to revitalizing the American worker in ways we never imagined? Let's uncover the truth. Before we dive into whether electric vehicles, EVs, are the saviors or destroyers of America, let's rewind a bit and understand how things got so complicated in the first place. You might have your own ideas about why American industries seem to crumble, and that's okay. But we've been digging into the numbers and history to give you a clearer picture. The story begins way back in 1979 when the American auto industry was at its peak, employing nearly 20 million people. Fast forward to today, and that number has shrunk to around 13 million. Now, during this time, the US population grew by about 50%, so there's a significant drop in jobs per person. Now, whose fault is this? Was it the government's doing, or did it have something to do with which political party was in charge? Well, it's not that simple. In 1981, Ronald Reagan took office and brought with him Reaganomics, a strategy of low taxes, low spending, and free market capitalism. The idea was to let consumers and companies steer the economy with minimal government intervention. It worked well for some, especially in the tech sector, but it didn't do much to bolster American manufacturing. But we can't squarely blame Reagan either. His top priority was tackling the sky-high inflation he inherited from Jimmy Carter. Now, don't think the Democrats are off the hook either, because the inflation crisis had two parts. The first half was during the Nixon and Ford years, and then it reared its head again in 79 and 80. Reaganomics did manage to beat down inflation, fixing the financial mess of the 70s. However, it didn't rekindle the American manufacturing flame. Why? Well, it seems like the free market fell in love with offshoring to cut costs. While they promised cheaper goods, American product prices stayed stubbornly high. The switch to cheap foreign labor and foreign-made products marked a big change in what consumers were buying. Now, let's delve deeper into the story and talk about Japan's role. Japan's post-war recovery was initially slow, but when they found their stride, their economy took off like a rocket. Their consumer electronics industry, dominated by giants like Panasonic, Toshiba, and Sony, began to flood American markets. Suddenly, every American household had access to futuristic gadgets and gizmos, thanks to Japanese innovation. The automotive industry witnessed a similar transformation. While we have a soft spot for American muscle cars, the majority of American-made vehicles during that era left much to be desired. They were often plagued by safety issues and questionable build quality. To emphasize this point, consider an experiment conducted a few years back. Researchers took a 1958 Chevy Bel Air and smashed it head-on into a 2009 Chevy Malibu. Contrary to expectations, the modern car held up significantly better in the crash. This demonstration vividly illustrated that they indeed don't make them like they used to, and that's a good thing for safety. Then, the Japanese automakers, including Toyota, Nissan, and Honda, entered the American market. They offered higher quality products at competitive prices. These cars were not only efficient and safe, but also a joy to drive. By the 1990s, foreign cars had firmly established themselves in the American market, while American brands struggled to catch up. You might still spot a 30-year-old Toyota on the road, but when was the last time you saw a 1990s Ford or Chevrolet in action? The turning point, however, came in 2008 when the American auto industry faced a catastrophic crisis. Bankruptcies loomed large, and the industry was on the brink of collapse. To prevent this disaster, President George W. Bush stepped in with a $17 billion bailout. This event led to the coining of the phrase, "too big to fail." While the bailout prevented total collapse, it couldn't magically restore the industry to its former glory. As we can see from the chart, manufacturing growth following the 2009 bottom was minimal. Millions of good middle-class jobs vanished, leaving a void in the American economy. This is where Elon Musk and Tesla entered the picture. Was Musk a technological messiah? Perhaps not, but he seized the right technology at the perfect moment. Tesla entered an American auto industry starved of innovation or creative thinking. Instead of envisioning new designs or concepts, American automakers were stuck rehashing old ones, like the 1967 Mustang. Then, in 2013, Tesla launched the Model S, marking the first time in decades that an American automaker offered something genuinely groundbreaking. This American-made car wasn't just powerful, but also packed with cutting-edge technology. It looked like a spaceship, and, most importantly, it was the safest car on the road. So, while Musk may not have single-handedly saved the American auto industry, Tesla injected much-needed excitement and innovation back into the sector. It filled a void of creativity and forward-thinking that had been dormant for years. Now, let's dig even deeper into the transformation. Tesla arrived on the scene at a time when the American auto industry had been in a steep decline for decades. Factory closures were widespread, and Detroit, once the automotive mecca, had turned into an apocalyptic wasteland. And then Elon Musk stepped in. Musk didn't just enter the picture, he bought up one of those closed factories and breathed new life into it. Tesla restarted operations, putting people back to work. They set out to create not just any car, but the most advanced automobile globally, right here in the good old USA. However, there was a catch. While the car was made in America, the batteries, which happened to be the most expensive part of the entire vehicle, were made in Asia. So despite their American roots, Tesla was still outsourcing a significant portion of the cost. Here's where things really start to change: the Gigafactory. Tesla realized that while competitors in the industry were making outsourcing and offshoring part of their business strategy, they wanted to do the opposite. They aimed for as much vertical integration as possible, meaning fewer suppliers and more in-house onshore manufacturing. Enter Gigafactory Nevada. Tesla wanted to bring battery manufacturing to the United States. Since Panasonic, their battery cell supplier, couldn't produce the batteries they needed in America, Tesla decided to build a brand new factory just outside Reno for Panasonic to use. So within a span of about 5 years, Tesla achieved several milestones. They resurrected a defunct automotive factory, constructed a state-of-the-art battery manufacturing plant, and partnered with Panasonic to create the most cutting-edge batteries. Meanwhile, their American competition seemed content with stagnation, dismissing electric cars as a niche trend and predicting Tesla's imminent bankruptcy. The crucial point here is that growth in any industry is directly linked to innovation. Without new companies entering an industry and introducing fresh ideas, that industry will only decline. In essence, Tesla acted as a much-needed catalyst for change, rejuvenating a sector that had been stagnant for years. Take Giga Texas, for instance. It's the second largest manufacturing plant in the United States, trailing only behind Boeing's manufacturing plant in Washington, where commercial airplanes are built. Instead of viewing Tesla as a destroyer of the traditional auto industry, it's more accurate to see them as a catalyst for change, rejuvenating a once declining industry. Moreover, Tesla's rise has opened the door for a new generation of American carmakers. Companies like Rivian and Lucid represent the second wave of American EV startups, building new manufacturing infrastructure in the United States. And this wave is just the beginning, with more to come. Simultaneously, the EV revolution has stimulated growth among established Detroit automakers. Now everyone wants their battery factory. General Motors has partnered with LG Energy to build a series of Altium battery cell production lines. Ford has joined forces with KTL to create the Blue Oval Battery Park in Michigan. And Stellantis, formerly Chrysler, is constructing a massive battery plant in Ontario, Canada. Each new battery manufacturing facility typically adds around 2,000 or more new jobs to the economy, benefiting not only the local workforce but also the surrounding businesses, from restaurants to clothing stores. Electric vehicles were inevitable, given the need to move away from gasoline. However, it's essential to recognize that without Elon Musk and Tesla disrupting the status quo, we wouldn't be as close to an EV transition as we are today. In an alternate timeline where Tesla never happened, it's highly likely that Chinese EV manufacturers would have moved in and obliterated whatever remained of American auto manufacturing. To stimulate new growth, you have to cut away the old, dead branches. This concept applies not only to trees, but also to industries. Growth requires change, and American manufacturing needed Tesla and electric vehicles to drive that change toward a brighter future. So, what are your thoughts about Tesla and electric vehicles as catalysts for change? Do you see them as the future of the automotive world, reinvigorating American manufacturing, or do you have reservations? Share with us in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, show us some love by hitting that like button and leaving a comment down below. Also, if you're a fan of all things technology, be sure to check out this other video we've got lined up for you. It's packed with all the latest news, tips, and tricks to keep you ahead of the curve.